in the right venue without having to worry about the double jeopardy clause.
Oh, that one is beautiful. We gotta move over to SCOTUS here. And we're gonna move over to the SCOTUS blog where they do great summaries, so we use them. We rely on them a lot for things about that. And then we're going to pontificate a little bit about it. So we're going to go ahead and head over there.
3 opinions from the Supreme Court today and more tomorrow, Friday, June 16th at 10 a.m. First, a case many of you have been watching, the court upheld the Indian Child Welfare Act. That's the law that prioritizes placing Native American children with tribal families for foster care and adoption.
Okay, so before she goes into this, let's talk about this a little bit. So the reason why this case was brought up was not because some God-loving Christian family really wanted to proselytize to and help the poor Native American children. That's not why it was brought to the Supreme Court. The reason it was brought to the Supreme Court is because this would have been used had the Supreme Court ruled against the Indian Child Welfare Act. If they ruled they made it unconstitutional, where it gave racial preferences to Native Americans to adopt kids from their culture, first dibs, basically, to adopt those kids and keep them within the community. That could have been used as a wedge to break down all Native tribal sovereignty laws that give Native Americans first pass on all manner of things. In particular, though, water rights and mineral resource rights, because God forbid they find oil somewhere and just let them keep it. So that is why this case came to the Supreme Court, because they were going to use that to chip away at these laws. It was stated pretty matter-of-factly about on these things. The plaintiffs. The plaintiffs themselves, the family that wanted to adopt the child, not so much. But the lawyers and lobbyists that got it to go to the Supreme Court were very much wedded to chipping away at all Native tribal rights. That's why it came here. Now, I don't know what she says beyond this. She might bring this up, but the fact that this was a victory is not only good for the children because they have cultural ties to these tribes, but it also is good because it is granting them authority over their land. But let's continue.
A group of white families in 3 states, including Texas, challenged the law, saying it unconstitutionally discriminates on the basis of race. They also argued that it violates the 10th Amendment's anti-commandeering doctrine. That bars the federal government from requiring states to adopt or enforce federal law. Congress...
This is not true because of treaties. They're ignoring the treaties in those claims.
Adopted the law back in 1978 out of a concern that there was, quote, an alarmingly high percentage of Indian families that were getting broken up by the removal of their children.
Correct.
Justice Amy Coney Barrett, writing for the 7-2 court, didn't reach the race discrimination issue, but rejected all of the challengers' arguments either on the merits or for lack of standing. Justice Gorsuch, who's well known for championing tribal sovereignty during his time on the bench, wrote separately to recount the long history of federal efforts to destroy tribal identity.
So a lot of lefties don't like Gorsuch. I don't like Gorsuch. I don't like him because of his opinions when it comes to economics. But when it comes to civil liberties, Gorsuch is actually fairly close to Kennedy. It's not a one-to-one. It's not a one-to-one. Kennedy was better on some things, but it is very close. A lot of people that were saying that Gorsuch was going to rule for the corporations in this regard just really need to get their head out of their ass and actually look at what he actually stands for and how he's actually ruled on numerous cases. This isn't the first one. This isn't the first civil liberties case that he's ruled well. He made a good ruling. He did it for sex discrimination for trans people. There was a trans woman that was working at a mortuary that whoever is in charge of the mortuary, I don't know that title, but they wanted this trans woman to dress as a man because they were assigned male at birth, and they were like no, and they brought their case to the Supreme Court, and Gorsuch is like, No, that's just sex discrimination. If you wouldn't rule that if you're not going to say that a woman has to wear men's clothes or what have you, if you're not going to have these equally. Funeral director, thank you, Jack and Ard. If you're not going to rule, if you're not going to have these same things enforced, then you can't do it. That's sex discrimination. It was great. It's a great ruling. So that's what we're seeing here. And so I really need people to understand that that's why this court is ruling in these weird ways that people weren't really expecting on several civil libertarian like issues, is because Gorsuch, Robert's a little wonky on that, but Gorsuch and Kavanaugh also a little wonky on that, but they're actually not as ideologically driven in their cultural proclivities as somebody would want them to be, as a DeSantis or as a Rick Santorum or what have you. So that's why these rulings are going this way. So good.
And forced assimilation through boarding school programs and the promotion of the adoption of Native American children by non-Native families. Justices Thomas and Alito dissented.
I call it those three pulled a fast one on Trump. They promised him the moon and took the seat when told him to fly the kite. I don't know which three you're talking about. Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. Are you talking about Amy too? Because I don't know. Maybe it's possible. I mean, Amy was really what the Heritage Foundation really wanted. Gorsuch was Trump wanted to appoint more justices to the court that he thought if he appointed them, they would show him loyalty. And so that's why he got Kennedy to retire so that a Republican could put it down. So that makes sense. Kavanaugh again is a little wonky. I think left-leaning people took too hard of a jump at Kavanaugh. He almost got borked to a degree, and that would have been worse, probably. But thankfully, he's not holding too much of a grudge there. But I don't know about Barrett. I don't know if I agree with you on Barrett, Jack and Ard. We'll have to see more rulings. I mean, there have been several like these rulings done. Jurisprudence seems to be winning the day there, but. Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, they're definitely not Trumplicans. You're right. All right, let's go ahead and continue now.
In a second case involving Native American tribes, the court said that Native American tribes are not immune from the automatic stay of the bankruptcy code. This decision effectively means that creditors operated by Native American tribes have to submit to the bankruptcy process in the same way that states and the federal government do.
Oh, interesting.
Third, in a decision that could be relevant for the federal prosecution of former President Donald Trump, the court unanimously said that if the government prosecutes and convicts you in the wrong venue, meaning in the wrong place, before a jury that was put together in the wrong location, they can try again in the right venue without having to worry about the double jeopardy clause.
Oh, that one is beautiful. Oh, that one is so good. That one is so good. I don't think anybody, oh my God. And Jack and Art, I know you already know where I'm going with this, is because they are bringing cases against Trump in Florida and in the Southern District of New York. And the Florida jurisdiction is basically going to a Trumpian judge. Cannon, I think is her name. And what this means is that they're like, well, if it's not really the proper venue because that's not where the crime was committed, then you can actually be tried again because it was done on it was basically a miscalculation and maybe not as fair of a trial to the prosecution as what would have happened in the right venue. That is beautiful. That was a unanimous decision. And that I don't know if they made deals in the background with Alito and Clarence, or Thomas, Alito and Thomas, I should say. But wow, that's good. That is really good. Like maybe they're all just tired of Trump. I don't know, but yeah, that's really good. Wow. Okay. That got me happy. This is what he's saying. Like Jack and Art's like, yeah, this is what I'm saying. They said fuck you to Trump over and over on so many levels. Yeah, they did. Especially this one. Holy crap. Wow, man. Wow. That's awesome.